takes e4, pawn takes e4, and then like knight f6 at the end. He has queen f4 perhaps, or rook g6, g6 maybe. So welcome everybody to the stream. This is International Master William Paschall streaming on Twitch. We have live chess, 15-minute chess, and 5-minute if we get the chance. Sacrificing a pawn here, but he's very weak on the white square, so I thought I might have some compensation. If his queen tries to stay outside the pawn chain at f4, I have rook g4 winning a queen. Therefore he has to go back, and I thought having to go back here, it looks like black has some play based on, I mean, at least the idea of e5 and bishop h3 in some lines, and e4, the e4 square, not that well protected. So e5 would be our main idea. b6, an alternative, although he seems to be able to maybe block the control of e4 with e4. Let's have queen d3, b6, e4. On the other hand, his white squares are quite weak, so I think the situation is kind of up in the air here. It looks like it should be good for white. Not clear I have absolute compensation for this pawn, but his pieces are a bit strange. Obviously, bishop on e1, not really well positioned. So queen c2. I could play for b6 here. b6, e4. And bishop b7. He has knight d2 for defense in some lines. If I play e5, pawn takes e5, bishop h3, looks like he has several kind of defensive ideas. Knight h4, as well as some knight d2 sometimes. Queen e8 is interesting, kind of on the white squares. I'm going to try that here. With the idea of e5, maybe bishop d7, or c5, bishop d7, for example. He has to be careful about the white squares. Knight h4 could be a move, though. Although, knight h4, for example, rook h6, I'm threatening g5. Yeah, this is what I thought he might do. There are a couple of possibilities here that look quite dangerous for white. Now, one is rook g4, with the idea of sacrificing an exchange on h4. It looks like he's going to play f3. So I think I also have to worry about f4, actually. It just occurred to me f4. And this bishop on e1 comes in perfectly handy here. This is very annoying. f4 he's going to have. Wow. So, looks like I don't have enough comp. There's some weird stuff. Played f3, which like loses a piece, I think. So, Mr. Dreamshell thinking on a purely positional level, but leaving his knight with no retreat squares. f4, it looks like clear advantage to white. He resigns, drops a piece and resigns. So I'm not happy with the way I played this. I think it was a pretty speculative line. Knight e4 early is probably okay, but a4 is a mistake. I think a4 just cost me too much time. I'm trying to do everything, and I just don't have time for that. So instead of a4, I have to do a different move, which probably reinforces like control of the center. I wasted too much time, basically. So it was purely speculative. Welcome everybody to the Twitch stream. We don't have a lot of viewers yet. I did miss this weekend. I apologize for that. I thought I was going to get in a stream Sunday. Didn't work out. We will try to do at least one stream every weekend and a later time, because we're doing mostly daytime, Eastern European time every weekday, like now. So hopefully Sundays will be like a sure thing for most of the weeks ahead. Occasionally Saturdays and even Fridays possible. but this week just didn't come to fruition. So we played a couple blitz games. We were way too slow, not warmed up yet, lost those. We're down, knocking on the door of 2300 again. And 5-minute chess. Talking about other chess sites we might try, I signed up for a Lee Chess account today. I know some people on here were promoting the idea of me streaming on Lee Chess, so I finally opened an account over there. Haven't tried it yet, though. I'm going to get to that later today. We can wait a few minutes and then try to get a 15-minute game. If not, we'll play some more Blitz. We're a little more awake now. If anybody has any questions, like Espresso Forever asked, what do you think about the candidates? I think the candidate cycle needs someone who's going to win, who is not afraid of Magnus Carlsen and good at match play. He's young, has a lot of energy and ambition. Anand, I'm really bored with Anand. Like just showing up and not even really being there. So the second time was once was enough, twice was just way too much. I just pray that Anand doesn't win. And another guy who I always liked a lot and is even a friend of mine, like Levon Aronian, was always my choice. But today I saw this article. It just sort of made me, I don't know. I think it was on CNN. I saw an article. I don't know who this person was who wrote it. It was like the Silk Road or something. But 15-minute chess against, I think, Iceland here. They were saying how Levon Aronian is a hero in his home country. He's like worshipped, and he has his cool photos on this article, and he's like a playboy. I mean, dude, it shows in his results. I mean, he is like not really relevant. It seems like in the top 3 or 4, like he was before, and it's kind of classic. It's kind of this. You reach the point where you're successful. Now you're gonna let it go and just enjoy the benefits of being a famous person. We can see it in his chess already. Aronian doesn't seem as interested and as motivated as he was before. And it's like you reach a certain level of success, you just kick your heels back, say, "Oh man, I'm so great, and now I'm gonna just slack off." That's kind of what happened. So Aronian, we can sort of take it off the list of people who, although he's a great player, doesn't seem motivated enough to beat Carlsen. Okay, Bishop A6. Now Carlsen could run into the same thing where he becomes like lazy and sort of reveling in his own fame. But I think he's younger, he's different, and he's going to be there for a while. So Bishop A6, yeah, not a normal move against Bishop F4. It strikes me as a amateur player who plays Bishop A6 against the fianchetto, but he's like going to play it against Bishop F4. Okay, now here, well, it's basically a kind of weird Bogo Indian when my bishop's outside the pawn chain. So what should we do? In the normal lines, I play knight on f to d2. This variation, I don't see any reason to deviate from that, because he's played bishop a6. It's even better because normally his bishop's on b7. Sometimes I have to sacrifice the pawn on g2 in these lines. And here the bishop's on a6. I don't even have to worry about giving up my pawn on g2. Castle, and now, again, if this was bishop on b7 in this position, it would be a book line. I'd sacrifice my pawn on g2 with bishop e2, but here, now that his bishop's on a6, what does that, change in this position for me? Sometimes bishop d3 was only a problem because of bishop takes g2, rook g1, bishop e4, in the line where the bishop's on b7, bishop e4. But here there's none of that, so bishop d3 is the more aggressive square. It's a little more exposed there. It could be relevant because the bishop's on a6. On the other hand, I mean, other moves look rather passive. I don't know. Knight c3, fallback option. It seems like he could play a kind of reasonable Nimzo strategy with like bishop takes c3, though unprovoked bishop takes c3 seems a little early. a3, normal move. It's kind of tough. Tough to decide, basically. Knight c3 looks okay. I don't mind his taking here unprovoked on c3. He could play d5. Maybe that's his best move. And we'll see. So qf16. Now he goes bishop b7. So he's a full tempo down on what is like kind of my main line here. Alright, we'll let you have the pawn, buddy. So white gets a pretty strong attack if you grab the pawn. He doesn't even consider it. He just moves instantaneously without taking on g2. And now he should really double the pawns. And I don't know if I have time to stop him. It's looking like a Nimzo, although bishop f3 is interesting, where he's a lot of white square weaknesses. I'm going to let him take double the pawns. He should really do it. I mean, before I stop it, I think. He's wasted basically a full tempo. And now he's playing knight to e4. c3 is hanging. He's ready to support it with f5. I might as well just take. And Naka seems hungry. He can't be crossing. Yeah, it's like Naka's definitely aggressive enough and definitely confident enough. Maybe too confident. I think that Caruana is hands down. I mean, the man to beat Carlsen if anyone can do it. So no question in my mind about that. Bishop takes e4. There's also a lot of Chinese players, but none of them really stand out to me. This Ding now obviously is in everybody's mind. But still, we need more time with this guy to see how strong he really is. Bishop takes e4, f3 goes into... I think we have to keep the pieces on the board here. Bishop f3, you know, trading pieces. Try to exploit his white square weaknesses. Maybe I sacrifice a pawn with c5. It's pretty closed, and black has... You know, it's surprising he can get such a reasonable position, a full tempo down. He's played very logically. So, welcome anybody to the stream. A little slow today, Monday, and please check out my YouTube channel, Video Chess Training. I uploaded last week Tomaszewski playing black against Carlsen. This was an interesting game. I mean, definitely not flawless, but Carlsen is a multi-dimensional player. You know, he's not really specialist in anything, but he's sort of universal. Very practical, though, you know, and very good at making practical decisions. It seems to be his strongest point. Okay, e4. Now, this guy is 1700, but he plays like Nimzovic. One thing I can do is a4, but I don't know if I want to weaken my queenside or not. Another thing here, I don't like my bishop on f4 anymore. From e3, we have multiple directions, and we can open either flank. And now, I'd like to play f4, but I can't. c5 is kind of a huge idea, I think. But I'm not sure. I guess it's probably sound, I mean, positionally. Yeah. I kind of like this c5 idea. Sacrificing a whole pawn, though, it's a bit much. Maybe I should play a4 first. Now he'll almost have to play a5, which actually weakens both of our queen sides. I'm not sure who this favors more. c5, sacking a pawn while I can do it, it's probably fine. Why not? You know, his broken structure, I don't think that this extra pawn is going to go anywhere. And it gives us a chance to do something. So before he plays like queen e7 and stops it altogether, I think that this breakup isn't a whole lot for me.